Hello, friends. It's Kimberly here with Power Living with Kimberly Langford. As a nurse, a coach, a Reiki master, an entrepreneur, I've built my life and my work around helping and empowering others to live their best, healthiest, most authentically happy and powerful lives. I share here in the podcast and visit with experts on all aspects of wellness, physical, emotional, financial, career, and business, health, relationships, environment, and more. So if you want to step into your best self, listen in every Saturday morning as we share new and old ideas to help set you up for the coming week as a fresh start for a better and better you. And today, I got to tell you, I am super excited and very humbled to have with me my friend, my mentor, my Reiki master, Cindy Wanek. And today she's going to share with us a little bit about her journey. She started off as a teacher. And so I know that a lot of us want to know, how in the world did you go from teaching into massage, and what led to your discovery and journey with Reiki? And as we talk a little bit about Reiki, this universal life force, tell us, maybe to kick us off, what the heck is Chee? Do I spread it on a cracker? What is this Reiki all about?
Chee is our energy body, and a lot of us know about our physical body. We're bombarded by things about it all the time on TV, through our phones, through the internet, about how to lose weight and how to look better and to join gyms to get our bodies in shape. But we don't hear much about our energy body, and it's just as important as our physical body. A lot of us don't realize that we can have any influence over our emotions or our fears or other things that stress, especially. Everybody experiences stress in their life in one way or another, and that's the energy part that we're talking about. And Reiki gives our body that positive energy that we need to recover from incidents of stress or depression, grief, fatigue, many things that bombard us during our lives. And I discovered Reiki by accident. I didn't know anything about it, like many who may be listening to this. And I was on a vacation and wanted to get a massage, and every place I called was booked up. We were down in Santa Fe, New Mexico with our family, and I thought I'd treat myself to a massage, but I couldn't get one. So I saw an ad for Reiki, and I didn't know what the heck that was, but it said it was relaxing. So I thought, well, I'll give that a try. You know, that's what I'm looking for. So I drove out in the country to this woman's house and had a Reiki session with her. And she wasn't a licensed massage therapist or a person who could actually put her hands on me. So she did Reiki by holding her hands about an inch or two above my body. Mm-hmm. And when I was done with that, I was like on cloud 9. I hadn't felt that good in ages. And I couldn't get over it because she hadn't actually even touched me.
Yeah, so, what did she do?
Yeah, I was just amazed. And so I wanted to find out more about it. And I went back to Nebraska after our vacation, and my mother-in-law, unfortunately, her cancer had flared up again, and she was terminal when we got home from our vacation. And I went to see her in the hospital, and a nurse came in and said, and she was so uncomfortable at that point, nothing could really help her. And a nurse came in and said, would you mind if I do Reiki on your mother-in-law? And I thought, there is that Reiki. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, somebody else does know about it. And he put his hands on her, just on her arm as she laid in the bed, and it just totally took her pain away. She settled in and was peaceful, and I was just so thankful and so amazed again. So that's what led me on a path to want to know more about Reiki, and everything fell in place for me. I lived in a small town in the middle of Nebraska, and nobody there knew about Reiki, but it found me. And so shortly after that, I went to massage school so that I could do Reiki, and changed my life from 30 years of being an elementary school teacher to being a massage therapist and Reiki master. So it certainly changed my life. And through that, I've been blessed to help a lot of people experience Reiki.
My family included. You know, it's kind of interesting. I think it sounds like you were at a place. It's kind of like, for me too. I was very open. I was at a place where when I first heard about Reiki, and it sounds kind of Twilight Zoney, right?
Yeah.
But if you're open and you give it a try, pretty soon you find it's irrefutable. You don't. And what I always tell people is, especially if they haven't experienced Reiki before, is just to be open to allow themselves to feel whatever they feel in a session and
Right.
see for themselves, because it's pretty profound.
Right. And even people who are skeptical, you don't have to be a believer in it to experience your first session. And everybody can use Reiki. I mean, all of us have something going on that we could use the reinforcement of this positive energy. But, you don't have to be a believer to see positive benefits from it. A lot of times people come in and they may not know about it, but they're willing to just give it a try. And with me, when I was doing massage, a lot of times people came in just for massage, but I would say, I would like to do a little energy work on you before we start, if that's okay. And, they aren't, they didn't usually say, no, I don't want that. But they found out that it made them feel so much better afterwards. So many different conditions that it helps, from chronic headaches, fatigue, stress, inability to sleep. My little kids, when I first was still teaching and I had Reiki hands, I could put my hands on the shoulders of my little kids in school and they would just about melt into their chair. And for the little ones that were kind of hyperactive, it was real beneficial for them to be able to settle down. But there's unlimited areas where Reiki can help a person.
It's unique. It's unique as well, because, and like, so for me, I know you've been my mentor now for, gosh, over a decade. Can you believe that? That's crazy to me. I think I have to look at the certificates to go, oh my gosh, it's been that long that I've been practicing. And it's, as for working with people in person with hands-on from somebody, somebody who's licensed, because people usually ask that, or what's the difference? I had Reiki before and they didn't put their hands on me, will it work or whatever? And, a licensed person, like you mentioned, can actually lay hands on, but Reiki, you don't have to. And you don't have to lay hands on. And depending on the attunement of the practitioner, you don't even have to be in the same part of the world.
Right.
Being able to send Reiki across distance. Can you talk a little bit to that?
Yes. That's probably the hardest thing for people to believe. However, with our cell towers and our cell phones and how energy travels through the air, maybe people can relate to it a little bit better now than when I first started practicing 20 years ago. But Reiki is energy and energy travels. I know, just for example, an experience of when my daughter was teaching quite a long distance away, at least 7 hours away from us. And she called me one day and she said, Mom, one of my coworkers has a terrible migraine headache and they can't find a substitute teacher for her. She said, could you please send her some Reiki over her lunch hour? Because she's going to have to stay. And so I said, well, sure. So with distance Reiki, you center yourself and you visualize. I knew this person, so it was easy for me to visualize her face and what was happening with her, and you tune into it and you send energy to them. And about a half hour later, my daughter called back and she said, Mom, her headache's gone. She feels so much better, you know, and it's very,
Well,
it's amazing, but it happens.
Or look at how, you know, an easy way I think to think of other situations where that works is when you think about, it's kind of a tragic example, but like for a mother, a parent who loses a child, they're not
Right.
together. I know when my brother was killed, my mom knew, and they were not in the same city at the time, and she knew, she felt that, right? That connection is so great. That energy is great. So for a Reiki practitioner, you know, establishing that energetic connection, it's the same principle as to how we know. Yeah. And there are
Well, and
schools.
a lot of people believe in prayer and the power of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what it's like. I mean, you're passing God energy through you to these people. And it's very powerful. And not that we think we're God by any means. We're just a channel for that healing energy.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we should talk a bit about what a regular session of Reiki is like, because people might not have any idea. But most sessions are, in-person sessions are conducted usually on a massage table or a reclining chair of some kind. And we have 7 major energy centers in our body that run along our spine from our tailbone to the top of our head. And the practitioner places their hands on or above each of these energy centers to produce energy flow, to remove any blockages of energy. Sometimes our energy is totally depleted in these energy centers and it needs to be filled up again. And this is the job of the practitioner. While the person, that you don't have to take any clothing off, you remove shoes and maybe any metal or a watch or something that might interfere with the energy. But you just recline and rest. Most of my clients fall sound asleep before you're even done. And they wake up feeling totally refreshed. And these Reiki sessions last usually 45 minutes to an hour is my experience.
So how would one know, how would one know if they had a blockage in their chi? If they had an energy blockage, how would you know? Or what would some signs of a blockage or a depletion, what would that look like?
Well, and it depends on where the block is, but a lot of times if people feel extremely fatigued and they can't put their finger on why, they think they've been getting enough sleep, but they just don't have any energy. Perpetual headaches, inability to sleep. I notice with myself, I call it monkey mind, when you just can't seem to focus and your thoughts jump from one thing to another, or you walk into a room and you can't remember why you went in there, or you change thoughts in the middle of a sentence. It means you're not grounded and your energy isn't flowing correctly. I mean, you may have physical issues too, and a lot of those are caused by emotional issues. And it's very hard for Western medicine and doctors to treat emotional issues. We can go to counselors and things like that, but a lot of times that doesn't even get to the bottom of things. Where Reiki,
Well, not to interrupt, but that's kind of a new concept for some folks. But we know that we know like parents who lose children. I think if I remember, those statistics are like 70 to 80% of them will develop cancer or die themselves within the year because of that loss. Or even if you were to isolate the components in tears, if we cry tears of grief, we can, in a microscope, we can isolate toxins in those tears that are released from sadness. Or tears of joy, we can find endorphins in those tears, right? So
Right.
our emotions, we're not compartmental beings. We're holistic, integrated beings where, just like what you're talking about, our emotions do feed our physical body, and our physical body feeds our emotional body. So it makes sense then that our emotions do play a big role. And especially we're talking, there's a lot of talk about that right now in the midst of a pandemic, and stress and fear about, the how emotional health plays into our physical health. And you're right, it's hard to touch. Some things we don't want to talk. Therapy is great, but some things maybe we shouldn't relive in terms of talk therapy. Can Reiki
Right.
be helpful for that?
Absolutely. And I know you were talking about grief. One of my clients was a dear little lady in her 80s who lost her husband of 60 years. And she used to be a vivacious, very active member of her community and with lots of friends and loving being around family. And when her husband suddenly passed away, she totally became a hermit, and her family became very concerned about her. And one of her daughters was my client. And so she brought her in for Reiki, and all of her energy centers, all 7 of her energy centers were totally shut down, which means no energy flow. And it totally showed in how she was behaving. And so we had a Reiki session, and usually when someone is very bad like that, I really want to see them within 10 days again. Because the first time they're a little skeptical and maybe they're not totally relaxed. And anyway, I just insist on a second session within 10 days. So she came back, and most of her chakras were still open, but we did another session. And then I ran into her daughter about a month later, and I said, "How's your mom doing?" And she said, "Well, we hardly see her. She's off with her friends. She's traveling. She's back to her old self again." And it was being able to let go of that heavy grief and that energy that was just shutting her down. And it happens that way with a lot of people. Old scars from, I was working on a woman, and she came in for massage, but I noticed that she needed energy work. And after the session, she said, "I saw the years 1968, 1969, 1970, 1971 flash through my mind while you were working on me." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Those were the years I was in high school." And she said, "I was so bullied in high school." She said, "I feel like I just let that go." And things like that you don't expect to happen, or maybe they didn't even think about when they came in, but that's exactly what she needed to do. She needed to let that go. People with PTSD. One fella came in and said he'd been to every doctor imaginable, had every test known to man. And they said, "Well, you've just got Gulf War syndrome. We can't do anything to help you." And he had constant headaches, insomnia, pain that would move daily into a different spot. He was just, and this had gone on for 9 years. And I said, "Well, I don't know if this will help, but it won't hurt, and you'll get to relax for an hour, and let's give it a try." And so all of his chakras were closed also. Everything was shut down. And so he came back after 10 days, and I said, "How are you doing?" He said, "Sleeping like a baby, don't have any pain, don't have any headaches." And I was shocked. I was as shocked as he was. But we did another session, and I saw him one more time after that, and he's been fine. So that energy work is something that can help in so many ways that other things can't touch. My husband's a pharmacist. I mean, we were well into Western medicine all of our lives, but there are some things that it just doesn't touch. And Reiki is an answer for that.
Yep. And no side effects. Well, relatively no side effects. I know some folks, and I know you and I have talked about those kinds of situations before where somebody has some intense Reiki therapy. Maybe they're processing really heavy stuff and they have a sequence of Reiki. Sometimes people do have a reaction, a detox of sorts, if you will.
Right.
That, you know, a practitioner will prepare a client for, especially if they're, you know, doing some intensive Reiki therapy. But in general, right, we don't have any side with Reiki.
No, and it's important, just like with any other body work, that you drink a lot of liquids afterwards. I really like people to come on a day when they're not having to go right back to work, or it's at the end of their work day, so they can go home and kind of rest. It's great to take a Epsom salt bath afterwards to draw the toxins out of your body and just rest. Yeah. But overall, I mean, I don't know of anybody that's had any harmful effects at all from Reiki.
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard of that either. And you know, the really great thing, like anything, right? If once you get your tune up and you start working on this energy, I know we talked a little bit before about pre and post care. We've kind of gone into that, you know, what do we do before a session? We come in comfortable clothes, you know, it's nice not to have to disrobe. That's really great.
Yeah.
Right. And that post care in terms of drinking plenty of fluids and allowing ourselves time for that energy to really integrate and release. But I know, like before the show, you and I were talking about how our energy, how we create. And can you talk a little bit about how Reiki can help in terms of creation? If we're striving for a big goal, or we want to change our relationships within our family, or our financial status, or career goals, how can Reiki help with achievement or success?
Well, I think that in general, when you release energy that doesn't serve you, it puts you in a more positive space. I mean, you have a more positive outlook. You feel better. I know after my first Reiki session, and I didn't think I had any huge problems, but I felt like a weight had been lifted off of me, like I fit in my own skin. And it's different for everyone. Everyone has a different circumstance, and but I just think that having a commitment also to surround yourself with things, since you feel better, you want to surround yourself with things that continue to make you feel better, whether it's you know, spending more time around the friends that make you feel happy and that aren't an energy vampire that suck all the energy out of you. To spend more time with your family, and with even things people maybe don't think about, but plants and pets and other living things have a very positive energy that you will feel when you're surrounded by it. So get a plant in every room in your house, you know, play with your pets, buy yourself some flowers to put on your dining room table that you can see every time you sit down to eat. Listen to music. Be sure you get plenty of sleep. Do things that make you feel good, like doing something good for other people. be generous, be kind. It's really easy now, especially in an election year, to be pulled one way or the other, to see negative ads, to hear negative comments constantly. And you need to turn that off and surround yourself. I mean, I don't mean stick your head in the sand and pretend like everything's beautiful,
Right.
but focus on the more positive things and not let yourself get dragged into the negative constantly, because it's easy to do. It's easy for all of us, but we can always find something positive in every day.
So it's kind of like after I steam my carpets, I don't let people walk in with muddy shoes, right?
Right.
No muddy shoes on my Chee.
Yep, it's a definitely a decision that you make. It's something that you can decide to look at the more positive and not dwell on the negative. And I think Reiki releases all of that negativity from you so that you start refreshed.
Yeah, so you can make room for it. If our
Right.
cup is already full of garbage, it's really hard to put fresh stuff in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can learn to take care of our energy, right? Most of us know that we need to eat right and exercise, get sleep to take care of this physical body, right? But we can also learn how to take care of our energy body, which
Right.
is equally important. And that also helps, right now we're heading into flu season and we're in a pandemic. Not saying that Reiki's the catch-all end-all for COVID-19, right? But
Right.
boosting our overall immune health is good for us in any season, pandemic or not.
Right. Absolutely. And I've certainly noticed that I've been less sick since Reiki's been in my life. I heal. I had a really serious ankle, broke 3 bones in my ankle a year ago, and the doctor said it would take me 12 weeks to heal. I'm older and I'm diabetic, and so he said it would take 12 weeks, and in 6 weeks I was out of the boot and walking fine and surprised everyone. So it really does help boost your immunity. It helps you heal faster. All good things.
Awesome. Well, Cindy, if people want to learn more, of course they can. I don't know if you know about Dow Cloud yourself. I
No.
know I'm on Dow Cloud. Dow Cloud is a great resource for folks who are interested in alternative health kinds of things. So they can go to dowcloud.com and look me up. On my website is reikiandcoaching.com. Or if you're open, can they reach out to you with questions?
Absolutely. They can reach me at cwanek@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer questions. People might wonder how do you know if you're supposed to be a Reiki practitioner? I didn't know I was supposed to be a Reiki practitioner, but you will get guided in that direction. Things will happen that will lead you to that. You may be perfectly happy getting a Reiki session once a month, like you might do a massage, or go to your chiropractor once a month. And that may be perfect for you. But some people have more issues that maybe it would be helpful for them to get attuned to Reiki, to go through a Reiki class and become a practitioner. It isn't a gift. It isn't magic. It is training and attunement. And this is what you can provide, or another Reiki master. I wouldn't suggest getting attuned over the internet.
No.
You don't know what you're getting into through that. There are lots of people who offer it, and distance Reiki is real, but without having met these people or getting a positive recommendation from someone who knows them in person, I wouldn't recommend that. But you'll get guided to it. If you feel like you need it every day, then you need to be attuned to Reiki so that you can give yourself Reiki. You can give your family Reiki. You can give your pets Reiki.
And you
You need to be
don't have to do that as a business venture either. You can
no, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I didn't at first expect it to be a business venture. I wanted it for myself, my family,
Me
you
too.
know, just just for personal reasons. But then I was guided to become a practitioner. But you may just want it for yourself and for your family, and it's a wonderful thing. If you have constant depression, if you have constant pain, you might need to, you can't go to your Reiki practitioner. It'd be hard to afford going as often as you'd need to go.
Yeah.
And so you can sign up for a class. Usually it's done over a weekend, and you would be able to do Reiki on yourself.
Well, absolutely. And that's how I started, as you know, right?
Right,
I
right.
got started because I just really wanted to be able to, my family, my little fledgling family needed help. And it's really been a blessing for our family. And then over the years, my family can't take all the Reiki I have to give.
Well, it's wonderful. It's a gift to everyone, and for those of us that are practitioners, it's been a gift to us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very rewarding. It's very humbling that
Mhm.
we were chosen to do this kind of work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Cindy, I appreciate you more than words can say, for sure. You
Thanks.
greatly enriched my family's life and my personal life as well. And I appreciate you taking time to just share a little bit about Reiki with so many people. So again, if you have questions, reach out, reikiandcoaching.com, or you can find me on DowCloud, or you can message Cindy directly at cwanek, that's CWANEK, at gmail.com.
And the podcast will be shown on what?
Anywhere you consume your podcasts, you can
At
find
Power Living, right?
Power Living with Kimberly Langford. Absolutely. And share, help us spread the word about Reiki and give it a whirl.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kim.
Bye, Cindy.